Welcome, everybody. This is Glenn McDonald,
Joe Fiscone, how's it going, guys?
and this is the Mainline Strength and Conditioning Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the dreaded subject that is in our face every single day, everywhere you go, no
The
matter what you
plague.
do. The plague, COVID-19, COVID-22, whatever the hell you want to call it today, I don't know. I am so sick and tired of this shit. Sick and tired of it. I know I've been dealing with it firsthand for quite a while, and Joe has, because Joe is out in the community quite a bit, working in the business line he's in, and I'm just so freaking sick of it. So sick of it. Today we're going to have like about 5 questions on certain parts of the COVID. Nothing talking about the scientific facts, because I'm the furthest thing from a scientist, and I think Joe is also.
Yep, I use my eyes and my common sense is how I kind of judge how I go about things.
All right, so let's first start off, though. I retired from the federal government. I worked for the Federal Bureau of Prisons for 28 years in different capacities, and when the plague, COVID, hit, I was actually in charge of a correctional institution in Chicago, downtown Chicago, and firsthand, dealing with COVID inside a prison was an absolute nightmare. And, of course, nobody knew what the hell to do, because guess what? I didn't live through the Spanish flu. Did you, Joe?
Nope.
No. So everyone's like, oh, what do we do? Let's figure it out as we go. And it seems like we're still doing that now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No, definitely.
Which is understandable. But, everyone's an expert.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And you can't question the science, so, I mean, you can declare anything, and, if you're an expert.
Oh, yeah. But inside the prison, we had these things called contingency plans, where if we had any emergency happen, such as like something like this, bubonic plague or whatever you want to call it, or some type of mass casualty type of event, we had plans put in place to address all this, and it didn't even cover, didn't even touch what was going on. So it was interesting to learn for about a year and a half that I was there during COVID before I decided to retire. Seeing what was going on was absolutely driving me crazy, but being in the position I had to stay in the game, and I stayed in the game.
Quick interjection.
Yeah.
Why was there no contingency plan that was around a COVID type? Was it just because it was so spreadable, so contagious, or
I think
was?
I think it's because it's so vague. Like, there's so many different things. I know the plan addressed like a flu outbreak, to where the whole institution caught the flu, which, okay, well, guess what? It's kind of like what we had.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was...
But nobody would call it that, so it was treated very differently. Did you kind of see the effects of it being politicized within?
No, not at first. Okay. Not at first, but, I mean, realizing people were pretty scared of what was going on because nobody knew. I mean, I didn't know. Mm-hmm. You didn't know. Yeah. I mean, no one knew what this really was.
Yeah.
And we're actually talking about it earlier that, when I went to work, when it first happened, I was like prepared to walk out of the building, walking towards the train station to go home, and I thought there was going to be stacks of bodies somewhere, or like the morgue truck was going to pull up and be like, oh, and you look in the truck and there's like 18 dead bodies in there. But guess what? There's nothing like that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, the streets were bare. I mean, absolutely empty. It's kind of freaky to walk through downtown Chicago, and there's like I was the only person there. Yeah. I was the only one walking to the train. I'd get on the train. There'd be me, the conductor, the guy driving the train, and maybe 2 other people.
Had to feel like a movie almost.
Oh, it was
so surreal.
It was pretty weird. All right, so the 5 questions. Let's start with 1. So, Joe, what do you think is some of your experiences in the last 2 years with COVID? I know your line of work is a little bit far from mine, or my old job anyways, but what kind of experiences did you have?
Yeah, so kind of from the beginning, I was my job, I do landscape lighting, so I'm a technician, so I'm outdoors working at different people's houses. And so we in Illinois here, there was the mandates and all the different lockdowns that they instituted. So we're kind of unsure what was going to go on. And same thing, we didn't know what was going on at the beginning. Like, nobody did. So we played it safe. We stopped working. I think it was only for like a week or two. We stopped going out. Everybody stayed home to just kind of let the dust settle, see what are we really dealing with. Are there the bodies on the streets or, whatever. But we were an essential business, so we kept on working. And so it was actually kind of interesting. It happened to be when I started going out on my own at work, and when the whole
one thing though, what's funny to me is like, I mean, not knocking that profession, but it's like, oh, that's an essential job.
oh yeah,
Like,
no, that's
landscape lighting. It's like, is it really?
yeah. Oh yeah, no, totally. That's almost
yeah.
a perfect segue to one of the later questions. But it just the insanity, how inconsistent, and just what was essential, what wasn't essential. Oh my goodness, yeah.
I'm essential, but we're gonna shut down
Yeah.
trucking in America.
I light up the
Or,
outside of your
stuff like
house.
that.
Yes, yeah.
We need that.
Yeah.
We need that.
No,
Yeah.
but so that's actually a good segue into what I was about to get at. I started to go out on my own, and I was getting a ton of tip money, and I was like, oh man, people think I'm doing a really
Like
good
how
job.
much?
$20, $40. My biggest one was $100.
Damn.
And
Wow.
that's after they paid me, almost a couple grand of work that I had done. And so, I was super stoked. Oh yeah, I'm doing a good job. I'm doing a good job. And then
That was before the checks, right?
Huh?
That was before the checks started coming out.
Yeah.
People had that extra money.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, before the stimmies, definitely. But anywho, as time passed, the tips stopped coming, and it was kind of back to normal from like a prior year experience to where there was, the occasional tip. But it was just kind of interesting that while people were unsure of what was going on, it seemed, from at least if I use my logic, that they thought I was risking my life to go play with their landscape lights. So here's a 20 guy. It was
Nice.
kind of interesting. Just I don't know.
Now
Observation. I can't say that's for sure what was going on, but that was my experience, and just kind of an interesting commentary I thought on.
Now I know through our relationship that you don't wear a mask, you didn't get vaxxed, nothing like that,
Yeah.
which is totally commendable. It's fine. I love it. You do you, Joe. You got to do what you got to do. But how did other people treat you?
Yeah, as far as that goes, the whole, like, I just used my common sense throughout this. I never saw the bodies in the streets. Everybody still goes to the grocery store. We're still a civilized society, and you saw everything was still the same. People were still going to the grocery store, touching everything, still the same. And so I don't want to wear a mask, putting it on my face. I take care of myself. I eat well, I exercise, I trust my immune system. And so I really leaned into that, and I don't know. I have a problem with authority. Don't tell me what to do. If you tell me to put the mask on, I'm definitely not putting it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a double, whatever. But I actually, about the mask, I actually quit a job over it because when it all started and we stopped working at my family business, I got a job at Aldi because I didn't want to sit around and wait for unemployment. And so I went and got a job there, and this one lady had a real hard-on over the mask, and I didn't put it on in like a couple of days.
Karen.
Yeah, oh, totally Karen, yeah. And you could just, totally, she hated her life. But anywho, a couple days in a row, she had to tell me, and the one day, she was like, do I got to tell you again? I was like, I will comply. I was like a total smartass about it, and then she sent me home, and I was like, okay, I'm never coming back then.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's... I got to take a principled stance on it, type of a thing. And the problem, and the reason that I also don't wear the mask in Havin is you see so many people, and I talk to a lot of people in my line of work dealing with just different, homeowners, everyday people who don't want to wear the mask, don't agree with it, but they still do. And so I don't know if it actually achieves it or not, but being willing to put myself out there and not wear it. I never really got harassed or anything like that. Costco was the only place that wouldn't let me in, and then a local butcher. in DeKalb, they wouldn't let me in. But other than that, everywhere let me in. I did say that I couldn't wear one for medical reasons, just a little, the bullshit game. And then it was even funny. At Meyer, the one lady, she's like, "Oh, I remember," when I would walk up and I would not have one on. So it was kind of funny, but nobody cared. I had two soy boys come up to me and say something once. The one guy was like freaking out. He's like, "Oh, I'm staying 10 feet away." And it's like, okay, bro, cool.
Try 11.
Yeah. I actually pointed out, I was like, "Well, I'm going over there." And then he scurried away. And then on the way out, we actually crossed each other. I jumped at him type of a thing, just to, like, come on, man, calm down. And then another guy, when I was at Lowe's, he came up to me. He was like, "Oh, where's your mask?" And I'm like, "Oh, got one." He's like, "Oh, I'm going to go tell the manager." Okay, you go tell on me. You a supposed grown man, go tell on another grown man. Cool. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, but other than that, no problems. Nobody cares. I mean, now that we're this far into it, nobody cares for sure. But at first, I don't know. I felt very nervous in situations like that because I don't know. I was never trying to be obnoxious about it. The places that said you can't come in, Costco and the other place, okay, that's fine. I won't shop here then. There's no point to be obnoxious about it.
Right.
I never was like, "Oh, I'm not wearing it because of this." I just said the medical reasons was just polite. I wanted to move on with my life and just do me. You know what I mean? That's all. And then the vax stuff. I mean, again, just the science. And what you see. Like, this isn't something that's going to kill me. And there's a lot of questions surrounding the vaccine. We don't need to get into that, but just my thoughts on it were, it's not worth it. Why am I going to get this shot that potentially has risks for something that doesn't really seem to have risks? I've gotten the cold and the flu before.
Right.
And I'm still here, and we actually think we caught the plague, and we survived. So
Yes, you did.
Yep.
You thrived. You didn't survive.
Yeah. No, it actually kind of overall the experience, big picture, like over the last 2 years, we have thrived.
Yeah.
Like, me and my family, like I can show you, as far as like health and fitness goes, I can show you a picture before the plague versus now. It's objectively better.
Oh, yeah.
I can show you my bank account then versus now, objectively better. I can, just the things are better, and instead of cowering into that fear and that uncertainty, and there were certainly moments of that, but it's, that overall not going to stop. I'm going to double down when people are, backsliding. I'm getting better. So overall, I pat on the back to myself for doing that. But that was kind of my overall experience on it, or like a pretty good summary of it.
Now, like, I know for me, working inside the jail, it was very strange because, of course, not knowing what actually we were dealing with and what the ramifications or what was going to happen, and this is just worrying about the staff.
Oh, yeah.
Never mind the inmates.
Yeah. A quick interjection, too. Like, throughout this, I was like, our business is very small. We're less than 10 employees. We're playing outside. So, like, I also never really had any close contact. I was always on my own. So, not but I didn't have to deal with anything like that, to where you're around a ton of people and that extra, especially when it's super contagious, you're in close quarters, being in prison, you got people who obviously got to stay there type of a thing. Yeah. So, like, I also had nothing like that, so I can't even can't relate to that portion of, or what your story is.
Like, when it first started, we had it was funny. I was watching. I always had a TV in my office, and I had the TV on, and I was listening to it, and I was like, "Man, this all right. There's something weird going on. Let me give the medical staff a call." So I called one of the director of the medical department, and I said, "Hey, are you aware of what's going on?" She's like, "Oh, no, I don't know what's going on." "Well, come on down to the office. Let's talk, and bring your infectious disease nurse also." She came down, and they're like, "Yeah, I kind of heard something about it." And I'm like, "Well, now it's on the TV, and we need to do something, like, immediately."
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, the contingency plans were very vague, which they're kind of supposed to be, because you can kind of just do what you think's right.
Yeah, you got to be flexible and
adapt. You got to be able to adapt and overcome whatever comes up. So that's kind of what we did. And I said, hey, I think, honestly, I think the first thing we need to do is contain everybody, keep everybody where they are. Okay, let's do that. And then it was like we went down to the warden's office, and I mean, like I said, no one knew what to do.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of did it like that, and it actually worked for quite a while. Probably a good couple weeks where we were like, well, back then we didn't even have tests. So it was like, all right.
Was there people who you thought have COVID?
Well, so what we did was daily, the medical staff would go around to each housing unit, and they would talk to the inmates. Hey, is anybody showing these symptoms? Is anyone feeling sick? If they were, they'd pull them out. They'd do a evaluation on them. They'd bring them down to medical and be like, all right, you have all the symptoms that we don't want you to have. So we started isolating people and putting people in certain areas where we'd contain just those possible positive people until we started getting tests, and then we actually testing them. And were the tests accurate? I don't know.
Do you happen to know were those the PCR tests that you were getting?
They were just the rapid.
Okay.
We started with the rapid, and then the PCR came probably a month or so in. I'm not even sure when that started.
I got you.
And then it just got, honestly, it just got out of control to where it was like we had, the whole institution was secured. All the staff, we're working.
Yeah.
Working. Because if you don't know, when an institution is locked down or secured like that, the staff have to work twice as hard because guess what? Guess who cleans the units? The inmates, not the staff member. They just supervise the inmate. So we're cleaning the units. We're cleaning the stairwells. We're cooking the food. Everything. It was on us at that point, which was fine. We handled it.
Full blown running the prison.
But it was
all the operations.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But it was something else because all the staff were worried. I was worried. Of course, then we're getting input from the regional offices and the central office in D.C., and they don't know what the hell to do either. So everyone's just like scratching their head. It's like watching the news now. You scratch your head should we do that? Oh, I don't know. Let's try it.
Everybody was just nobody was making a decision. Everybody's just
really.
kind of standing.
Yeah, somebody make a decision. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna isolate everybody. No one's gonna move anywhere, and we tried that the best. And we had staff. Well, a lot of them were legitimate that were actually sick, and they had all the symptoms. They got tested, and they were positive, and we had steps in place to where they had to send in documentation showing that they were positive, and they were put on the special leave category and things like that. And of course, there's just like anywhere in any job, people were abusing it. Oh yeah, I'm positive. Did you get your test yet? Oh, I have to wait for 48 hours. I got a test yesterday and I got my results today. What do you mean 48 hours? Well, that's what they told me. Okay. You enjoy your 2 days off. We'll see you in a couple of days. Once you get that test result, send it to me. Oh, okay. And then 2 days later, still doesn't have it. I got to wait 2 more days. Okay, now you're going to be on your sick leave kind of thing. So it was interesting. It really showed, just like things like that, when difficult things happen, it really shows you the true character of somebody.
Did the people who fold, were they the people you expected that would fold?
Actually, there's some people that really surprised me. I was like, I never saw that one coming, but okay.
And do you think they did that out of opportunity for just an easy couple days off, or was it legitimate fear to where they shit the bed and say, you guys take care of it because I don't want to get sick, I'm going to stay at home?
I think both.
Okay.
I think a little bit of maybe 50-50 both on that, because some people are just petrified of it, and some people are just like, oh, I want a couple of days off. All right, you go take your couple of days off while I'm here for 18 hours or whatever. I saw
that. I know how much you were working. You were gone all the time.
Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Weekends.
It was a stretch too. It wasn't just for a couple of days. It was a good couple of weeks, or was it even longer?
Maybe a good solid month, definitely, where we were really hustling. Like every day was at least 14, sometimes 18-hour days.
I know it was
Couple-
all hours too. You were
Oh, yeah.
going all hours of the night,
Oh, yeah.
any given time. I know it's
Yep.
2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
You were there. Yep. 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
You were there. Yep.
And then dealing with the issues that come up in a prison, like fights and possible suicides and all this other craziness that goes on in there. You just had to still deal with that, plus the COVID too.
How did the inmates deal with it?
Oh, they're absolutely out of their freaking minds. I mean, they're scared. I mean, legitimately scared because, I mean,
You're trapped on top of each other, and you don't know what's going on.
I mean, I'm retired now. I can say whatever the hell I want about the Bureau. I'll tell you what, the medical departments, I love the people, but it's screwed up, man. It is screwed up. And unfortunately, inmates are human beings. Guess what? We got to take care of them. Yeah. That's our job, is to safety and well-being of those inmates who are incarcerated. And a lot of times, they're not taken care of. Yeah. Legitimate, like, they'd be like, hey, Captain, I got this hole in me, and they were supposed to see me last week. And let me see what you got going on. I'm like, oh, man, hey, put your shirt back down. I believe you. And I call medical. Oh, yeah, he's on the list for next week. I'm like, yeah, there's this green pussy stuff coming out of him. You might want to see him now. Oh, yeah, we'll get to him. Dude.
What's that about? Why the delay? Why just a lack of urgency, understaffed? Because they can?
I'd say understaffed is probably one of the higher percentages, and it's a real good excuse also.
I got you.
And then it's also...
or do they got some garbage on their end that they have to go through, being a federal job? And okay,
no.
I didn't know if there was any.
No, they're supposed to.
They're
supposed to take care of the inmates, and a lot of times it's just like, man, like, what are you guys doing, man?
Culture issue.
Yeah, that's part of it. Definitely part of it. Just like that, I don't give a shit kind of thing, which is unfortunate because the position I had to be that guy that gave a shit, because if I don't get this guy treated, it could run into something else where, the inmate's got an open sore, and then the other, his cellmate or the guy down the block who can't stand me, he's like, hey, man, this dude's vulnerable right now. I'm going to take care of him right now. All kinds of scenarios can pop in your head, and that's what they would do.
Yeah.
And then have to deal with the inmates and the staff at the same time during that. It was pretty stressful.
Well, I could imagine.
And I remember I have a picture of myself. I should post it with this. Once we put this podcast up, I'll post it up there with the link and of me. I think I was inside the elevator with and I just took my N95 mask off, and I mean I actually don't even look like myself. When I see the picture, I'm like, is that me? Like it was like crazy.
An exhaustion thing?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You were so wiped, so drained?
Completely exhausted. Yeah. And that was before my mustache too. So
I know you had to shave it too, right? For the N95, because it wasn't...
everybody had to be fresh shaved and everything like that. So
science.
And then everyone's like, some of the guys were like, I'm not shaving my beard. Well, and the protocol was like, all right, well, hey man, I'm sorry, I gotta send you home until you shave your beard. Okay. And they go home, and guess what? They're gone for like a week because they won't shave their beard. And then they realize, like, hey, yeah, man, you got to shave your beard and come back to work. But guess what? It's like you said earlier, people don't care.
Yeah.
After a while, I mean, we're strict about, hey, you got to have your mask on. You got to make sure you have gloves on. You got to have certain units had to wear protective gowns and this and that, and all these different protocols. And you had to don and doff your PPE equipment here and not there. And after a while, it's just like, I don't care. I don't need to wear that.
This is a perfect segue into question number 2 of how do we think it was handled, because kind of some of those protocols, how people approached it, you have a different experience in the prison, but from my end, it was just a mess. There was no consistency, or you saw as things progressed and it wasn't quite what it was originally thought to be, or wasn't as deadly. Like, I don't know, it was just a ramp up on the fear porn, and then that didn't pan out.
Right.
And just like the inconsistencies, or like what I saw going to the grocery store, like, oh, it's this deadly plague, but people got these bullshit masks on, rubbing their face, sneezing, finger fucking the food. Like everybody still carried on the same.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
they're carrying on the same, but you got to put a mask on.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
That's going to stop everything, right?
Or like it sounds like in the prison, you guys were at least taking thorough steps and following strict.
We were.
Whether it made sense or not, you were at least, there was a plan in place, a protocol in place, and you were executing it.
Right.
Like in the general public, there was no plan that was executed. It was carry on like normal, but that cloth mask save you, or they, you can make a mask out of a T-shirt, the 600-pound
Here, put that bandana
JB,
on.
saying that, like, okay, that's health, that's,
like
okay.
one of the first things, because, one of the back then, one of the symptoms was fever. If you have a fever over 101, you must have the plague, all right? So we set up this thermometer outside actually it was in the front lobby where you actually walk up, you put your face towards it, and it read you. It's a digital reading, and it showed you your temperature. And there always had to be a supervisor down there to supervise and make sure every staff member actually put their face at it and got an accurate temperature. And we had to log the temperatures down with their name and all this craziness. And it was like, in the job, the position I had, I really didn't have to do it, but I would be like, hey, no, I'm going to be down there. I'm coming in at 0 dark 30 to make sure all the staff are good to go, right? So I get in there and I'm just like I remember the first time I did it, I'm like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, my experience, they did that at Aldi, or they were supposed to do that at Aldi, the temperature thing, and it was about a day of that, and they're doing it depending on the supervisor, mask on, mask off, really all depended, no consistency, and you had to do that, and then after a while that disappeared very quickly. The thermometer was still sitting there.
And then we actually had a list of questions. We had to ask everybody that came in.
Oh, you got the sniffles. You
have the sniffles. Are you coughing? Do you have shortness of breath? And do you have diarrhea? That was like always the best one. Like, I don't want to ask a female staff member, be like, hey, did you shit your pants today? Or are you about to ready to shit your pants? Like, do you have diarrhea?
Can you trust that fart?
yeah. Are you going to shart? Yeah. Oh, did you just have Taco Bell? Maybe that's why. Something like that. But it was like, I mean, I know I had to do it. I mean, just whatever you want to call it, just following orders or whatever, following the protocols the best I could. But it was just like, this is kind of lame.
Was that the response? I know you said everybody kind of stood around and didn't really have make a decision, but was that the decision they came up with when they finally made it? Was, oh, let's do this, and kind of more like a.
Well, that was like the first initial big thing where, first we had the handheld one where you just put it close to the person's skin on their forehead. First we had those, and then somebody got a bunch of money for making these special scanners that read your temperature. And of course we bought one, and I want to say it was like probably close to like $7,500, if not more.
Oh yeah, for $100 piece of equipment.
And we put it in the front lobby, and it was like the big thing, like, oh, we got this new piece of equipment. It's going to save everyone's life. No, it's not. It's just going to say if you got a temperature or not.
98.6?
Yeah. And it was just like, I mean, every day I came in, I was like, and whoever is monitoring it, and I'd be like, yep, no fever, no diarrhea. And yeah, I'm 98 degrees. I'm good to go. It was just like, just madness. Yeah. It really was. It was to the point it was like kind of funny. And all the...
All you could do is laugh, otherwise you'd cry.
Oh, definitely. And a couple times I think I wanted to.
Oh, I could imagine so. Especially you get that exhaustion kicking in that long, and just what are we doing?
And everybody was really aggravated, stuff like that. Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to the next question here.
So what could have been different?
For me? Oh, geez. For me, probably a realistic plan.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what I want to say too.
Actually, the people that were in charge, like from central office, DC, and then the people that worked in the regional office, because the bureau is set up in regions. So there's 5 different regions. And the way it seemed, because we had our own little, like, kind of like our own little Dr. Fauci kind of guy. And they were from the public health service, PHS. And they came up with our kind of, of course we were trying to follow the CDC guidelines, and it was coming down from DC, because of course it's always going to happen. The communication is going to break down when you have so many people involved, because one day it'd be like, okay, we can do this. The next day we can't do that anymore. Okay. So what do you want us to do?
When it's that big top to bottom telephone game, essentially.
And then everything, by then everything was like on Zoom, like a Zoom type thing, or like a conference telephone type call. And the information just wasn't getting passed.
Did people spin their certain views on it? The people who were scared did certain stuff, or like, do you get what I'm saying? And
yeah,
in terms of that with the telephone type game,
you could see some people. I mean, even though like in some of the meetings that I was involved in, oh yeah, for sure. Oh, we got to do this. Like, no, we don't, because it doesn't say that in the guidelines. Well, we should do that. We don't have to do it though, because I mean.
Probably shit that didn't make sense either.
Now you're putting an extra step in the day to where, hey, you don't realize, but we're at a point we had, I want to say, what was it? It was like something like we had, I want to say, either 50 temporary assigned staff from other institutions. So the Bureau, we started losing people so fast, the Bureau's like, hey, do you guys need any extra staff? Like, yeah. Like yesterday, we need them because I don't have any housing unit officers to cover my shift tomorrow, and these guys would just show up out of the blue. And eventually, we had like 50 extra staff, and they were awesome people coming from other institutions to come help us, and they even seen it too. Like, this is what the hell's going on here? Because like their institutions were okay; they didn't have too much of a breakout or anything like that. Not like we had in some other institutions were absolutely horrible.
What was the difference between those two situations? Was it the size of prison?
Like locality, like say, like a prison in South Dakota. Guess what? There's not too many people up there, or a prison compared to a place like Chicago where we're like on top of each other, or a place like in Kansas or somewhere like that. It all depends on where you were.
That makes sense.
And just the way it worked, it was like, man, this ain't working. And then some of them staff even, they got sick. Like they'd be on TDY for 2 weeks, and they'd go back to their institution, and like the next day they're like, oh, I'm sick, I'm positive. It's like, damn, don't go to Chicago.
That's crazy. So pretty much, yeah, there was no plan. That would be my answer, too, of what I wish would have been different as just a civilian, a U.S. citizen. It was just, seems like everybody was running around with their head chopped off, was not consistent with anything. There was the no plan, and basically they just kind of did these couple things, put a cloth mask on, throw a plexiglass everywhere, stand 6 feet apart, you're good to go. You're going to be safe.
Stand on the circle.
Exactly.
Follow the arrows.
Yes, exactly. This, aisle only, one-way aisles type of a thing, yeah. Once the restaurants opened up, you got to wear a mask, but once you sit down,
it's okay.
COVID spreads,
that 5-foot rule.
Exactly, yeah. So, short people, you're never going to get it. It sucks that you're short, but at least you're going to live longer than everyone else. But it was just absolute insanity.
It was.
It was never meant to be serious from what I can tell. It was very politicized. I mean, there's a whole big conversation that's a different one, but basically there was no plan, and they used it for total political gain.
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, there's definitely a huge political side of it, but I mean, from what I saw being inside the institution like that, being close quarters with it so much, is it was definitely something. It was something that I still don't understand to this day, but it's something that was like, all right, this is getting kind of weird because, I mean, I remember one incident where we were in the special housing unit and the inmates were so out of control at this point where they were spazzing out. If they coughed, they're like, oh, I'm sick. And they're like, all right, hey, man, we're going to get medical up here to check you. Fuck you. I want it right fucking now. I was like, dude, calm down. And they just start like either trying to attempt to assault us, or if they're behind a door, they start kicking the door. And we have to start kind of like take some kind of action. And we actually had this big guy in the special housing unit, big dude, right? And there's like 5 of us that would, because we're at a point where we're so secured. We had 2 staff in each housing unit. So there's 12 housing units or 10 housing units. So about 20 something staff. And then I had a roving team that would go around. If there's an issue on the unit, that roving team would go and handle the situation. So I was always involved somehow with the roving team because I was looking for action always. So I was out there with the team, and we went up to special housing because this guy's freaking out. And actually, one of our friends, he actually got hurt during this incident, trying to hold this guy. They had like half a cuff on him, had one arm cuffed, and the guy was like so big, and they're trying to hold this dude down up against the wall, and he just did something, and he yanked this guy's shoulder out of his elbow, popped his elbow out of socket, and he ended up having surgery. And like this guy's like so out of control, we had to like slam him down to the ground to put the rest of the restraints on. And at the same time, the guy's spitting on us. I mean, there's shit flying everywhere. It's like so nasty. And out of the 5 of us, actually after that incident, there was 3 people that got COVID. Like the next day they were sick, and I'm like, oh man, I'm next.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what's going to happen to me, right?
Yeah.
And there was actually 2 of us that didn't get it at all. I had a scare after that. I was like, man, I don't feel right. I feel kind of funny. Like the next day, I think it was, I came into work and I was like, I don't feel good. And like one of my lieutenants like, hey, Cap, you don't look good, man. You all right? Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Yep,
being a hard charger. Oh, I'm good.
Yep.
And I'm like kind of like sweating. I'm like, there's something weird going on. I'm just like keeping to myself. I'll be all right.
Finally had to admit it got bad enough that you couldn't hide it.
Yeah, and this freaking lieutenant calls the warden. Warden calls me, hey, Cap, come down to my office. I get down there. He's like, go home. Actually, go get tested right now. I'm like, what do you mean go get tested? He's like, one of your lieutenants dimed you out and told me that you're sick. I'm like, I'm not sick. He's like, you're sick. Go get tested. I'm like, all right, boss, bye.
Not much you could do.
It was definitely some weird times.
Yeah, so it sounds like fear took over and people were just acting way different type of a thing.
At times, but for the most part, I mean, I know my staff, I mean, they're in it to win it. I mean, everybody's pretty motivated for the ones that came to work, you know, and there's quite a few, especially I know some of you might even be listening to this that didn't come to work and we needed them. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that being said, where do we go from here? All this has happened. How do we move forward? Do we move forward? In general, obviously we're going to move forward, but what does that look like?
Well, for me, being retired now, and now I work as a CrossFit coach at one of the local gyms here. We're considered an open air gym, so we don't like enforce mask rules or anything like that. I mean, all we really do for protocols is just wipe down the equipment. If you use a piece of equipment, wipe it down. You got rags and you got your Fabuloso disinfectant, right?
Don't be a slob. Use common sense, and we're good to go.
Yeah, that's it. Just be smart. Don't be a dumbass, right?
Yep.
So I think from here, man, I don't know, because I mean, you watch, if you read the papers, if you look at the news on the internet, or actually, I don't even want to call it the news anymore, whatever you want to call it.
Propaganda.
Yeah. So you're watching the news channels. You're like, man, what the hell is really going on? Because just like you said, man, the people are using this for politics.
Yeah.
Just to get ahead or get behind or whatever the hell it is.
All kinds of agendas at play. And you can see that just definitely been something different about this from the start.
Right.
But
Now, but here's the big question. Christmas, all right. Joe and his wife come over, and their beautiful daughter come over. Guess what? We all got sick.
yep.
Well, I know I caught the plague.
Yeah.
I popped positive.
Oh, yep. Got one of those tests. We trust it? Got sick with something though. That's for sure.
Oh, we were sick. We were down and out for a good.
10, 12
I
days.
mean, I don't know if you can. I'm still coughing a little bit here and there, and yeah, I was definitely out for a good 2 weeks solid. And then about the third week, I was kind of like a little bit better, but now I feel a lot better. But I still get this slight little cough and a little bit of phlegm here and there. But other than that, I'm good to go.
Yeah. It was definitely something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But going from here, what else do you think we should do?
Man, from here, I'm gonna answer the question with instead of what do I think we should do. The way everything's been handled, just the different agendas that you've seen at play. I have no idea what's going to happen, and I can't control what happened throughout this. We've seen some friends lose their marbles over it.
Correct.
And, go into that panic mode and just trying to cling to trying to know what's going on. And we don't get to know what's going on right now.
You can only control what you can control.
Exactly. So that's what
that's
what I'm going to do from here is just
Yep.
continue to double down on discipline, good habits, a good way of living. And so that's really my answer to it, just because.
Well, here's another thought, because I don't know if you've seen it. Like, definitely try to treat people better, because there's some crazy ass people out there right now. Crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like, they've lost their shit.
Yeah, you get all the good stories, man. In my life, I haven't come across anything like that, but I know you keep telling me all the good ones about people coming up to you saying, "See you in the ICU."
Yes, Governor.
Oh yeah. My coworkers got a kick out of that one. I told them that one. They liked that. They said it was the best one they heard yet.
So if you're like one of us where you decided not to wear masks anymore, don't comply kind of thing. If you go inside the store and Crazy Karen or Crazy Ken shakes you down and says, "Where's your mask?" Just say shh. Put your finger up to your lips and go shh. It's gonna be okay, man. It's gonna be okay. Or just tell them, "Yes, Governor."
Yep.
That's always a classic too.
Go and give them a big old hug. You need a smooch. Yeah, but yeah, that's all I'm gonna do is just continue to control what I can control. Because other than that, it's insanity. It's gonna continue to be insanity. There's a flip flop every other day. The goalposts move forever. So, yeah, let's not try and focus on that. Let's focus what we could focus on. So here we are at our last question. How do we get back to normal? Is there back to normal?
I don't see it happening for a while.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hate to say that, but I don't know when it's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen for a while.
I don't think there is going back to normal as we knew it. In my opinion, you've seen all these big institutions played their tyrannical hand, and we can't ever go back. Throughout this, people acted a certain way, and they can't ever take that back. And this wasn't some small, tiny matter. There was, governments put lockdowns on businesses, all that different stuff, and it's just insane the way that it was handled. And I don't think we can go back to how it was, because these people have just shown their kookiness and their just complete disregard for the everyday person.
Right.
So I don't know where we're going to go from here, what it's going to look like, but I think it's kind of evolving, and that's why I want to double down on discipline, is because I think we have a chance to create where we're going to go from here. I think that there's going to be the formation of a parallel economy. Things are going to kind of split off, because we just live in a world where there's kind of two different camps that just can't coexist for better or for worse, or are having difficulties right now. So I just want to have a say in kind of the world that we have going forward, where all the normal people can get together and just say, "Hey, let's get back to normal and let's go forge that."
Right.
And let the lunatics go be the lunatics.
Plenty of them.
Yep.
Well, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
So let's stop it here, and we got a couple new subjects we can definitely go down.
Yeah.
A lot of rabbit holes to go down.
Yeah.
So, all right. So next time we'll probably be doing another podcast here in the next, probably next week.
Yeah.
possibly.
Weekly is what we're going to aim for.
Yep. Since we are able to update our studio, we're going to try to get back on the video. All right. And hopefully you guys enjoy our podcast. And if you guys ever have any questions, you can message me or Joe on Instagram.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram mainline SNC, and Joe is.
We're at Growing Up Fiscone. It's an account that my wife and I both use to just kind of share what's going on in our life and our journey to just try and grow up and become better people.
Cool. All right. Hope you have a good day. Make sure you go out there and take care of yourself, take care of the people you love, and be kind to each other.
Yep. You guys take care until next time. Thanks for listening and keep doing the work.
Pew, pew.